All right, let's add and scale an image for Project 2 Part B. We're going to add this to Desmos. So if you go to your Blackboard, which you should be there if you're watching this video, you can look at this link here. So the PTSD stigmatization graph for Part B. If you click it, it should open in a new tab or window. We've got this picture here. Now what I want to do is save this image you could do it anywhere. So for instance, I have a lesson 2 folder here, so I could put it there. You could also just go to your desktop and save it there, but you just need to know where you save it. So there, I've saved it to the desktop. Now I also have it in the lesson 2 folder. We'll see that in a moment, but I saved it to the desktop. So I'm done with that now. I'm gonna just close this. Now I have my Desmos window, and notice I'm signed in over here, so I can save this once I'm done. Now what I want to do is click the add item, come down here, here's image, and like I said, if you look up here, this is actually the lesson 2 folder, but I just saved it to my desktop. I click on desktop, and there it is. So I'll open that, and there's the picture. Now notice this picture has, if you look down here, it has scale to it on the x-axis, scale to it on the y-axis. What you can do then is, if you wish, and this is what we're going to do, we're going to have this match up with the scale on the graph, Desmos graph itself. Well, okay, how do you do that? Well, if I click on that graph, I get all these control buttons here, and the outside ones do mostly what you would expect. They make the graph bigger or smaller by grabbing them and moving them. Now the one thing that actually makes sense when you think about it, but it makes life a little harder in trying to scale things, is that if I grab this one, notice it stretches both sides. So the one problem with that is I can't line up my 0, 0 here and then just stretch each side. If I grab the corner, again, everything gets bigger, and so that's a little bit of a problem. And you know, as far as just trying to do this now, you know, I can work on doing that. Oh, if I grab in the middle, then I can move it to different places, and so now I could work on going from 10 to 60 first, and so I can zoom out like this, click on that, and kind of in stages make it bigger. Notice it's a little hard to read though because of the Y scale, so you really kind of have to work on both to some extent at the same time. And the Y scale went from 0 to 1, and but if I zoom in, everything moves. So again, I have to go to the wrench, and what I could do to start with here is just take the Y scale maybe to 5. I'm going to need it to get it to 1, and maybe minus 0.5, and click out here. And now though, it's a little easier to see what's going on, and I can kind of take it in stages to get it approximately where I want. So as I look at this, the 0, I actually have it too wide now, so I bring it in, and you do this enough, you start getting a little better with it. Let's see, make it smaller yet, and so at this point, let's see if I bring it down here, You know, I'm getting really close, but again, it's still a little hard to see. It's about 2 times too tall because I see him at 2 and I'm supposed to be at 1. So I'm going to go back here, and the x-axis looks pretty good. I could change that just a little bit and maybe make that 70 since I'm going to 60, and make this -10. Whoops, 103, there we go, -10. And the y-axis maybe go from something like -0.2 up to something like maybe 1.3, and do that. Of course, things are a little too big here, a little too tall, and so I'll bring this down and then zoom back out so I can see it. I can adjust things just a little bit, and you know, I'm getting it just about there, I guess. You know, so as I line up the marks for the 0, 0 down there at the bottom left, I see I'm a little too short, about the right width, and I can mess with this a little more. Now, like I say, if you practice this, you can get reasonably fast at it. But as I look at the marks, I look down here and I see, oh, I'm just a little bit too far, and it gets kind of hard to start moving things around. But what I can do is I can actually go up here and notice there's the center and the width and so forth. Now it looks like it's not quite wide enough, so I'm just going to go here and make that a 78.2. And now when I look, it looks like the 0 is just a little bit to the left there, but maybe even a little more to the left there. So I'm going to go up here and do a 78.3. And so now, instead of trying to move it with the mouse, I'm doing it digitally up here. And then, of course, the center needs to move back right a little bit. So I'm going to make this 26.6 instead of 26.5. And as I look, I'm making a little progress, but maybe I need to do just a little bit more. So I'm going to go to 5. 78.5 and 26.7. And when I look at that, that looks to me really good down here. That picture is right on. Now the vertically, I can work with that now, and I definitely need a little more space up here. You know, I'm not sure exactly how things are going to work. I'm just going to try to go to 1.3. Well, as I look here, the 1's a little below the 1 there, but the 0's not much there. So, you know, maybe I could go to 1.4. And by the time I go to 1.4, it's definitely too big because the 1's above the 1 there, and the 0 here is above or below the 0 there. So that was way too big. So 135, and that's a little too big, I can see as well. 132, we can try that, and I need to raise up the center a little bit, so 0.39. That's looking really good. I mean, those look about the same, so I'm going to try 0.395. That was a little too much. I'm going to backspace 0.394, and I think even if you're a bit OCD, this is really good, and so there I have it fixed. I can go up here and title this to save it. I already have one saved, so I'm not going to bother saving another. But there you go. You have the graph, and if you want, when you load this for your project, part B, you could simply load it and go ahead and change your numbers to these up here. So you could load it once and just then come up here, you know, having maybe copied down the numbers, or having two windows open, and just set your numbers here. You don't necessarily have to go through everything I did to get it in just the right place. Mostly what we want is to get everything lined up, and we have it that way now so that our picture coincides exactly with our graph. Okay, so there you have it. We've pulled in an image, and we've scaled it to be the scale we want for our graph.